Everybody talks about values, but nobody talks about virtues.
Working with the president Boris Traјkovski, what in your opinion was the reason that people liked him?
He had the virtues of honesty, courage, wisdom.
You brought the lead singer of the band Aha here in Macedonia. Tell me about that.
Here's the invite for Morton. Can you get this to him? And he got it to him, and Morton said yes. Literally, sales of Merlot went down, sales of Pinot Noir went up. I mean, it shaped that part of the culture that much. So Kratošija, Macedonian grape,
Yes.
is actually growing in America right now. Oh, that's Gličnik.
So hello, Đeјson, and what makes the world go round?
Jovana, thanks for having me. What makes the world go round? It's people. It's really people. It's human interaction. You know, this is whether we like it or not. We're born into this world with a family. We don't choose our family. We choose our friends, and then as we grow up and become adults, we go to school. We learn how to live apart from our family. We learn how to live with strangers. Then we go to work and we form new relationships, and then we settle in a community. Hopefully we have a husband or a wife, and then kids, and then we're dealing with them. Exactly right. Yeah. So. And then maybe we get to travel around the world a little bit and interact with other people. But that's what it is. It's people. It's human interaction. That's what makes the world go round.
So Robbie is just doing nothing here. I had to say it with R because that's how we call him.
Yes.
However, people, it's an answer that my colleague Victor from Zmaj is giving every year. So it's fun to hear it from someone else again.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I will give you short questions and please give me short answers.
I'll try.
It's either or.
Right.
Rakia or vino?
Yes.
Both. Okay. Swimming or running?
Swimming.
Okay. Traveling with a car or by train?
Oh. Yes.
Okay. Music or movie before sleeping?
Music.
Nice. So this question, just focus very much. Do you put ice in red wine?
No, ever. Never. It's a sin.
It is. Listening to music on vinyl or Spotify?
These days, Spotify.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
But these days, young people are going back to vinyl because they never felt that, and it's great.
And it's a better sound quality if you have the right equipment for it.
Yes. An expensive equipment, but still worth the money.
Exactly.
So you travel a lot. What was the last country you've been in? And we don't count Macedonia because obviously you're here now.
The last country I've been in, gosh. So I've been to 50 countries around the world, and the last quote-unquote new country was in 2007. It's been almost 20 years. And that was Australia, New Zealand. We went to Australia first, so it was New Zealand, I guess, would have been the last new country I'd been to.
Why haven't you been to a new country since 2007?
That's a great. I keep asking myself that question. I don't know.
You keep coming to Macedonia twice a year.
I have two countries I go to a lot: Macedonia and Estonia. So I've got the Baltics and the Balkans. So I do need. I think this year I really want to try and hit Malta.
That's nice.
Never been there.
But there is no ball in Malta, so I don't know
That's
if
true,
you will
yeah,
like it.
right.
How was Estonia? What was interesting there?
Estonia is a great little country. I've actually been going to Estonia longer than I've been coming to Macedonia. I first met
That's
an Estonian on the streets of Madrid in 1992. So this is really after the fall of the Soviet Union. And then made my first trip to Estonia in 1993. So it was just really, post-Soviet. It was poor. It was backwards.
How has it changed through the years? Because Estonia is really an example of how a country can develop.
Absolutely, yeah. It is amazing. First of all, Tallinn, the old city of Tallinn, is a perfectly preserved medieval Hanseatic city. It's beautiful with the towers and the walls and the cobblestones and the old buildings and things like that. And the rest of the country is beautiful. It's flat, though. I'm from Arizona. I'm mountainous. The one reason I like Macedonia is because it's mountainous. Macedonia's landlocked. Arizona's landlocked. Estonia is a coastal state and very flat. That's okay. The people are a little bit standoffish, not like Macedonians. Macedonians are extremely friendly and hospitable. But once you get to know the Estonians, then they open up. But it is incredibly developed. It's rich. It's richer than some European countries. It is just very well developed. They're very innovative, especially in the IT sector. They invented Skype, which of course, they invented Skype, but Skype is no more. I mean, I think Microsoft bought them.
And then it's no more. I'm just
Exactly.
joking.
Yeah. No. So, but they've done so many other things. So it's a really neat little country.
Yes, it's very interesting. I met a friend from Estonia. She's actually part Estonian, part Finnish, and she was always joking about how they, look in the. They never look in each other's eyes in the elevator and everything else. And we were together with a bunch of Balkans, people from the Balkan as well. It was crazy because we looked different, but at the end you sort of understand each other on some level. Where have you seen the kindest people, like the nicest people? Because you said you like people and they make the world go round. Where were the kindest people? Because as a tourist, you need kind people.
Yeah, you do. I find kind people everywhere.
Nice.
It just really depends on the country.
Even in New York?
Even in New York, you're going to find kind people. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Because the stereotype is that people living in New York are just don't care.
They're just in a hurry.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in a hurry to get things done.
They have no time to be kind to other people a lot.
Oh no, they do. Yeah, once you get to know them.
Okay.
There's kind people, and then of course there's the opposite in every country, nasty people. So some people are just nasty by disposition, for whatever reason.
So when you came to Macedonia, what was the thing that sort of surprised you, in a good and in a bad way?
Good way, the hospitality. I came here for 3 days to see if I could. I was offered a job here in 1996 with Mercy Corps, a humanitarian group. And I was doing a week's work in Croatia on another client. So I said, before I commit to coming here for 3 months, I'm going to come here for 3 days just to see if I like the place, see if I can stand the people. Obviously, 30 years later, the answer to that was yes. So I spent 3 days here, and then I said, I'll commit to 3 months. And that's when I really discovered the things that I like about Macedonians. They're very open, they're very hospitable, they're very warm. Until, of course, they get behind the wheel of a large automobile and stay the hell out of their way.
Yes.
So there's that. But then, and they're laid back. Sometimes too laid back. You got to get things done. You can't always be eating and drinking and celebrating.
We're always on holidays. So.
Right, yes. That's fine.
And what is the bad thing? The thing that you didn't like? I think first impression, you've traveled before, you've seen countries that are more developed or less developed even than Macedonia. What was the thing that was negative for you? I believe that you mentioned the driving.
The driving, yeah, that's kind of, okay, lots of countries have that. But
yes.
Trying to get things done, it just wasn't easy to get something done. It still sometimes is not easy to get things done. And that is the result of, I think, 70 years of communism and 500 years of occupation by the Ottoman Empire. And that culture that was created over those nearly 600 years created this culture of, I don't want to do something because if I do it wrong, I'll be blamed, so I'm just not going to do anything at all.
Yes, but can we still blame the past systems for what's going on here? I was born after Yugoslavia. I'm 33 years old. So Can we still blame something that was for how we still operate in getting things done, when it comes to administration, when it comes to everything, when it comes to selling our products, etc.? Do we need to, at one point, just learn how to get things done?
Yes, you do. And you can still blame the past, but it's not an excuse for not doing what is right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not an excuse. So yes, you're correct. It's been almost, let's see, this is 2026, so this year Macedonia will be, 35 years old as an independent modern-day nation state. That's almost 2 generations if you take that a generation is, say, 20 years. So that's a long time. People should be, but I do see that. I think things change here positively, but it's very, very slow.
Of course, because we're laid back, and
exactly,
like we said, that's not only a bad thing. You can enjoy here.
Yeah.
When you first came here, one of your first, not just jobs, but activities was working with the President Boris Tрајковски. He was liked by a lot of people in the country,
Loved
and he
by a lot of
was
people.
loved by
Yeah.
a lot of people, and he was one of the rare leaders we had, political leaders we had. In your opinion, how was he as a person? What was his virtue? Because it's we can learn from that, from him, no matter whether you believed in left-oriented politics or right-oriented. But when it comes to rhetorics and how you can attract the public and how you can get people to love you, you can learn from him, and should. What, in your opinion, was the reason that people liked him?
You actually you said something there that I caught, which was very interesting. You said his virtues, and this is something that's I find interesting in today in the world scene, and especially in the political scene, and especially with EU, NATO, and the big organizations. Everybody talks about values, but nobody talks about virtues. Virtues are a higher level, higher order than values. And one thing that attracted people, I think, to Boris was that he had the virtues of honesty, courage, wisdom. He believed in the truth. His campaign slogan, one of his campaign slogans when he ran for president in 1999 was "Vervam vo Macedonia," I believe in Macedonia, and he did. He loved people. He was outgoing. He was not a politician, which I think was one of his strengths.
Okay.
And he had been doing that long before he became president, long before he became deputy foreign minister in 1998, when Vumero won, and he just really had a deep interest in people. He would look at you like you were the only person in the room. If there's 50 people in the room and he's talking to you, he looks at you like you're the only person that ever mattered or matters to him, and all the others don't. That wasn't true, but he took a deep interest. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that was one of his great strengths.
I think that also being true to your values or virtues is very important, especially in PR. And I remember, because you probably have been working with a lot of people, I also like to work with people when it comes to PR, not organizations. I prefer that, especially because you need to be true to what you are. You cannot communicate like something you're not. For example, I don't know, you have in the US, you have Mamdani and you have Trump, and if they lie, they're different, but if Mamdani starts speaking like Trump, it will be very strange, and people will not believe him, and vice versa.
Right.
So, what do you think about that aspect of PR? How do you stay true to who you are when you're saying things, and true to how you speak? You cannot start speaking like somebody else all of a sudden. People will be, what's going on?
No, you got to tell the truth. I mean, I work professionally. I work with a small public relations firm in Arizona. Has nothing to do with Macedonia, nothing to do with international affairs. We have domestic clients. But we've actually turned down clients in the past because it just isn't a right fit. We don't like their, what it is they're selling or they want to sell. But we screen our clients to see if it's a good fit and it's something we believe in. We can only, work for somebody or something that we believe in. So that aspect of PR is vital. You have to believe it.
Even as somebody working for the company?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for instance, we have a medical device company that's with skin cancer.
So just to be clear, you're no longer working public political PR. You're now focused on more private sector?
Yes. No, I haven't done political PR in 15 years or more. So
that's nice. That's laid back.
Yeah. No. It's all private sector stuff, and our clients are medical device, sports, nonprofit. But yeah, with the medical device one, it's one that's focused on curing skin cancer. That's something I very much believe in because I've actually had skin cancer before. Really? Yeah, non-melanoma. So melanoma is the most dangerous one, but the basal cell and the squamous cell carcinoma. 1 in 5 Americans will get basal cell or squamous cell carcinoma in their lifetime, and it's easily treatable. But this medical device company that we work with uses a different type of treatment. So that's a long way of saying
they believe that they can actually get to a place where they can cure.
Oh, they can. Yeah, they have studies. Yeah. No, this type of cancer. Okay. Yeah, not all types. So yeah.
All types of skin cancer.
Well, basal cell and squamous cell, not melanoma. That's a different one.
Okay.
Higher level. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yes. Yeah. Indeed. Right. Yeah.
But
all to say, that's something that we very much believe in, and which is why we can get behind it, and which is why we've been working with them for 5 or 6 years now.
It's a good product to sell.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just a product, it's a service as well, because the technicians have to operate the machines and things like that.
Yes, in health probably it's the whole package.
Yeah, exactly,
So
right, yeah.
you need to work with that. You also work in sports. How does PR in sports look as opposed to everything else? Because I think it's not that different from politics. You need to really make people believe in their team. You need to make people support their team in every way possible. Also financially, a lot of the sports teams sort of rely on their fan base. So
Right.
Does this help working in politics now, working in sports?
Actually, no. It's a little bit different because, first of all, in sports, first of all, you have to have a winning team.
Yes.
So yeah, the team has got to be somebody that wins. Like
But we also have fans that would support their teams even
no
when
matter
they're
what.
losing.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
There are lots of examples in the United States. The Chicago Bears, New York Yankees, diehard fans, no matter what.
We have Liverpool, for example.
Right. Exactly.
in
Yeah.
the UK.
Yeah. But it's there's, I mean, you can't say there's no politics in sports. That's not true. There's politics in everything to one degree or another. But we don't have anything to do with that. We're actually our client is one of the bowl games, the college men's bowl games, football,
Okay.
American football. So as opposed to soccer. And so it's always at the end of December. So it's a seasonal client, and we start working on it in October. But yeah, it's not a lot of politics in there.
I'm not sure. No,
Okay.
maybe not a lot of politics, but definitely believing in your team and supporting them. And I think that it's very interesting here if you look at sports. We don't always win. We rarely ever win in some sports. However, there is a fan base that really wants
Macedonia's
their sport
handball team is fantastic.
to win.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, they're fantastic.
yeah.
And they'll continue to be, hopefully. We even had the European champion in the female handball team, co-metal. It was, I still remember it. I was a kid, but I remember how happy people were. So I think that it's not just the winning, but also believing that your team will win.
Absolutely, yes.
But that's great. What do you think about Macedonia's NGOs? Because you work in this sector as well. Macedonia's NGOs, how are they different from the US-based NGOs?
I think a lot of now let me start with the reputation that as the way I see it with NGOs in Macedonia that I've seen over the past many years here. A lot of the public look at NGOs here and say, oh, it's just a way for people to get money and not do anything. They raise money and then they don't do anything. I
disagree.
I think,
For
I agree, but that's the way, that's the public perception, I think, for a lot of them. But a lot of NGOs here do great work, and that's the same in the States. A lot of people look at NGOs and say they're just, money grubbing and things like that. But the NGO sector is vital to any country, to any civil society. You have to have that. I think the NGOs. Let me take a step back with NGOs in America, nonprofits. We'll just say NGOs, but it's nonprofits, it's churches, it's everything else. That's part of our culture for almost 250 years. The French aristocrat Alexis de Tocqueville came to America in 1830s or so, wrote a seminal book called Democracy in America. He traveled all over the country to see, how this new nation was functioning and thriving, actually. And one of the things he wrote about in Democracy in America is how people in a town, a village, a city, if something needed to be done, they didn't wait for the government to do it. They'd form an association or an organization and they'd get it done. And that culture lives on today. And we have a thriving NGO community in America. And Americans are quite generous with their money and their time. Taking that back, bringing it back to Macedonia, it's just something that develops over time, I think. And it just,
it
again.
Takes time.
Yeah, it takes time. Again, we're 35 years into Macedonia as a modern independent nation-state state. And the NGO community just needs to develop, and I think it is. But it's absolutely vital for the health of any society.
I agree as well, and especially now we have this huge mass of people organizing for air pollution here. And I think it's very organic because I've heard people that before were not active in any form politically. They're just, okay, we support this for our children. And I believe that this is a good example of how things can be done. Now, hopefully, they will be listened to. And there are other forms. For example, there was this group of people that were riding a bike in the streets of Skopje, closing them down once a month, just to prove that they have nowhere to ride a bike.
Bike paths,
yes, and the mayor heard that and realized that. And that's when we got most of our bike paths.
Yeah.
And today a lot of people, because I live on one of the main streets in the country, a lot of people are going to work by bikes. Food is getting transferred by bikes, etc. So it was done by an NGO as well. However, as you said, the reputation is someone not just the public needs to accept, but also the NGOs need to work on their reputation and improve it. If people don't believe this, then we haven't said it loud enough and we haven't explained it and showed it loud enough. So I think that you're right.
Yeah.
To me, it's interesting that you also like movies and music, like we said in the beginning. However, when it comes to music, you brought the lead singer of the band Aha here in Macedonia. Tell me about that. How did that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is 2007. The government at the time is organizing a conference at Lake Ohrid called the World Conference on Dialogue Among Religions and Civilizations. It was a follow-up to the first one held in 2003 that Boris Traјkovski had arranged. So this was the second one. The government is looking for a recognizable big name, so to speak, that has some sort of philosophical, theologian mindset. And they asked me if I knew anybody, and I did have a connection with Norway and with Morten Harket. So I asked my friend Leif Horstad, who's a good friend of Morten's, can you here's the invite for Morten, can you get this to him? And he got it to him, and Morten said yes, and it was just kind of
nice.
Wow.
Probably a traveler.
Yeah. So Morten came here with his friend and collaborators Sigurðin Einarsson. This is October 2007, and I picked him up at the airport with another friend of mine and a driver. And so, I'm an 80s guy. That's my music.
Okay.
And so and then I hung out for a weekend with Morten Harket, which was just kind of, wow, this is, one of my musical heroes. Morten spoke at the conference, the main conference dinner that Saturday night. But he also talked to a lot of people and found out about the injustice of Greece's push on Macedonia to change its name. Fast forward to the spring of 2008, Morten had been working on a solo album at that time called Letter from Egypt. Sigurðin calls me and he says, you want to come up to Oslo, and Morten's going to do some concerts with his new album. We can talk some more. So I flew up there and hung out.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, what's what one does. It's called slumming, rock style. So, talked with Morten, talked with Sigurðin. Sigurðin's a filmmaker by profession. He's done music videos, TV commercials, things like that. And both men had worked on a documentary about East Timor years before that. So we talked some more, and again, they were incensed by the injustice of this whole issue. So Sigurðin says, let's make a movie, a documentary.
So that's how you made the movie.
That's how we made the movie.
Yes.
The song, the title, A Name is a Name, comes from a song on Morten's album called A Name is a Name. It actually doesn't have to do with Macedonia, but it just fits so nicely.
Yes.
So, yeah, and that's how we put the movie together.
Okay, that's an interesting story to have. How do you believe, how important are movies in shaping public's opinion? How important is what we see, whatever it is, not just documentaries, but also TV shows, etc., in forming how we think about issues? And is there any movie that have shaped your opinion in your life, other than the one that you produced? Yeah,
actually, there's a lot. But let me take an example of a movie that I really like from and apply it to the field of wine, the wine industry. So the film is called Sideways. Okay. Paul Giamatti and the other actor's name escapes me right now. But it's two guys going on a road trip in California. One of them's about ready to get married. So they're doing a wine tour, just the two of them. And Paul Giamatti's character loved Pinot Noir, which is a hard grape to grow and make into a good wine. The other guy, his buddy, didn't care. He just wanted to drink. But the other grape that Paul Giamatti's character hated was Merlot. Mm-hmm. After the film came out, and it was a big success, literally sales of Merlot went down, sales of Pinot Noir went up. I mean, it shaped that part of the culture that much. And one film that's influenced me, I try and watch it every year, is called It's a Wonderful Life by the director Frank Capra. Jimmy Stewart, the longtime old Hollywood actor. This is 1950s, I think. Might be 1950s. It's a Christmas film. And but it's the story of George Bailey, played by Jimmy Stewart, who lives in a small town in America. I don't even know if they ever identify the state. But the bottom line, to keep it short, is that he's going through a rough time in his life. He's got a wife and kids. He's going through a rough time. He thinks his life is worthless. An angel comes to visit him and grants him, and George Bailey says, I wish I'd never been born. The angel grants him his wish. He's never been born. And then he gets to see what life is like if he had never been born, and how much poorer everybody around him was in terms of spirit and everything else because he had never been born. And then at the end of the movie, of course, you know, he gets his life back. He actually did live, but he got to see, it's a rare treat to be able to see how much you have positively influenced people if you had never been born. It's a really good film. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, and especially if you're struggling with certain issues and certain mental issues and problems, and
Right.
for young people that are struggling a lot these days, I think that movies like this and plays like this can actually help you very much.
Right.
But I will go back to the wine because it's better.
I like that.
It also helps mental health when you drink wine with the friends. I really truly believe that. You really like Macedonian wine. You like it so much. You brought some of it to the U.S. and you're trying to export one type of Macedonian wine there.
Yes.
What's going on with that, and how does that process go and look?
Right. There's a longer story, but I'll give you the shorter story for now. So Kratosia, Macedonian grape,
Yes.
is actually growing in America right now. We brought it there last year, and I say we, me, and some good Macedonian friends. But it's not growing throughout the country. It's growing in one specific location at the University of California, Davis in Irvine. So in order to bring in any plant material in the United States, you have to go through a permitting process. And the university, in this case with viticulture, with vines, the University of California, Davis is the designated university that accepts and then monitors this. So we sent over, 30 or so cuttings, dormant cuttings last year in the winter of Kratosia, which we sourced from Popov Winery. They gifted those to us. Sent them over there legally through all the permitting. Now they're with UC Davis. UC Davis is now monitoring these things. They're growing, but they're monitoring them for disease because you don't want to bring disease into the United States in the field of viticulture.
Of course not. Or anywhere.
Right, exactly. A year from now, it's a minimum 2-year process of growing and monitoring. A year from now, if these vines are deemed to be disease-free, they'll be available for growers throughout the United States to take cuttings and then start propagating, because that's how you do it with wine. 2031, you might be able to drink Kratosia that's grown in the United States. But it's all about telling a story, because this is what I do.
That was my question. What do we lack in telling our story, the story about our wine? We don't have to say it's the best wine in the world, although some people do say that. What do we need to be able to sell this story? Because you are in PR, so what are we lacking?
First of all, the quality of the wine. But I've been involved in Macedonia now for nearly 30 years, and I can tell you the quality of the wine has increased multiple folds. That's because the winemakers they're investing, they're experimenting with new grapes, they are taking care of the soil, taking care of the vines, they're doing everything right, in my opinion. But it's a very long process because there's 188 wineries in Macedonia. Legally registered wineries in Macedonia. Most of those are, mom and pop. But the number of wineries, I've tasted literally hundreds of Macedonian wines. And there are wineries here that most Macedonians have never heard about. There's a little wine shop called Wineberry near Vero, near the Bulgarian embassy. Jadranka is the proprietress, hostess. She has all of these little wineries that people have never heard of. Naumčevi, Jostella, Popovi, Monteco from Kratovo, actually. And these guys are producing really good stuff. Not just guys. Several of the wineries are owned and operated by women, which is
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, you see that growing. So first of all, you have to have good wine, and Macedonia is getting there. Second of all, I think you have to have a nice venue. And a lot of wineries are investing in their spaces. So they got the cellar, the equipment, they're making the wine, etc. But now they're creating tasting rooms that rival anything you see in Europe or America. They're well appointed,
Nice
beautiful.
cheese.
Yeah, a little mesa, exactly.
Yes.
And then of course, a kitchen for full catering, so they can do birthdays, weddings, bar mitzvahs, whatever. And then some of them are actually establishing sleeping areas, sleeping space, so little rooms here and there. So all of that is important in order to tell the story. Then we got to get the word out, and it's going on. There are wine tours that are being established. Every now and then I see an article in the New York Times or the Los Angeles Times or other newspapers or magazines that talk about the wines of Macedonia. All of the fairs that all the wineries here are going to, the big one up in Belgrade, it's every fall. So it's poleka, it's going slowly. But that story is getting out. But it just takes, it's something that you constantly have to do.
Yes.
Is tell
you
these.
cannot stop and
No.
just decide we're done. This
Right.
is great, because there is also competition, and we heard that a lot of money is being invested in our neighboring Serbia, for example, for them, being able to promote and sell their wines. So we need to understand that this is a huge market,
Right.
a huge opportunity, but we also need to invest in it if we want to have
Yeah.
results.
Right. And
So
that's
the articles in the New York Times, I'm guessing some of them are paid PR.
No, the best kind of PR is not paid PR. It's a journalist says, I've heard
That's
about this
nice.
little country called Macedonia, and I've heard about the wines, and I'm the wine writer for the New York Times or whatever, and so the New York Times pays for the trip, and they come out here and they taste and they, etc. There's three ways I think of selling, of promoting Macedonian wines. Number one, bring the wine enthusiasts to Macedonia, and then they go to the wineries, they taste the wine. It's experiential. So they're looking for new venues, new wines, things like that. Number two, take the bottles of wine here, take them to America, Australia, Europe, etc., and people get to try it. Number three is what we're doing with the Kratošija, which is a very long process, but we will be telling that story at the appropriate time. But wine enthusiasts, wine drinkers, they're always looking for something new.
Yes.
So that's why, the recent retired couple in Los Angeles that read the story in the LA Times that has disposable income says, why not? Let's go to Macedonia for a week. So they decide to come to Macedonia for a week and travel and drink wine, etc., but they've never been here. They need a little help. So that's why the importance of wine tours and, travel and tourism infrastructure here that allows them to just simply go online, book their rooms, book the tour, fly here.
We have more of that now,
We
which
do.
is great.
Yes, exactly.
It's not like it used to be. You need to go to the place and look for accommodation or ask somebody that knows someone in, I don't know, Karatov or Veles to
Right,
get
exactly,
you
yeah.
accommodation, which I think it will help us a lot. We're especially the private sector is digitalizing very fast here, so I believe that soon everyone will be able to book easily
Yes.
everywhere in the country. You said you have traveled a lot of places here. Can you pick maybe one place that's not your usual suspect? So Ohrid doesn't work.
Doesn't
We all
count,
love
right,
Ohrid,
yeah.
but give me a place that you actually find beautiful and it's not, your usual spot to go, just to give people ideas of where can they go.
Kratovo.
Okay.
I love Kratovo.
For me, it was Kruševo, but
Kruševo also,
Kratovo is also
Kruševo.
great.
Yeah. Berovo.
Let's not
There's a
forget Berovo.
nice little place here called the Aurora Spa. They've got a
Yes.
number of rooms and it's great food and wine. So I could keep naming them, but there's little gyms all over Macedonia. I mean,
Let's see if you can keep naming them, because we have a little challenge for you.
okay.
So we have a couple of photos, and we will ask you to find out where they're taken in
okay,
Macedonia.
okay.
You can get things wrong. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
But we need to make a bet first. How many do you think you will get?
Okay,
6. How
6.
many do you believe you will get right?
3.
Okay. I will go with none.
None?
Why not?
Wow, okay, all right. Oh man, I'm on the hot seat now. Prespa.
Okay, so I lost.
Oh, wow.
Next.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's Galichnik.
Still losing a lot.
Berovo. Berovo leg.
You have traveled.
I think that's Heraclea. Could be Stovi, but I think it's Heraclea. Bitolo.
Okay.
Kokino. Megalithic Kokino. Struga. That's a river dream.
Nice.
I got 6 out of 6. Cool.
6 out of 6. Yes, I definitely lost. That wasn't even a challenge for you. For me, it was crazy how many small gems are there because we were traveling with work a lot. We work not just in Skopje, but we're trying to do work really across the country. Since we believe that in Skopje, some things can be covered by the private sector, especially in terms of education, preparing youth to for entrepreneurial skills and everything else. But in the smaller places, there is no, the private sector doesn't have that big of an interest to invest in education. Like you don't have, I don't know, Sivus Academy or Brainstar Academy or Avenga Academy in Radoviš. So we went everywhere, and Resen is a beautiful place. I was really surprised, especially there was this small amphitheater there, and you see it from a forest with a beautiful high school in there. That's a great place. So we could have given you even bigger challenge, but we didn't realize you've been everywhere.
I've probably been to more places in Macedonia than most Macedonians, but
Probably.
that's because I like to. That's because I like to travel. I mean, I can say the same thing about Estonia. I've been to more places in Estonia than most Estonians.
What's the best place to visit in Estonia?
Best place?
Yes.
Well, that's very specific. It's my friend's country house in the village of Lutika in southeast Estonia. Yeah, you can only go there by invite from him. So.
We're asking him to invite all of us to go there.
Okay.
It's not a big country, come on.
No, it isn't. Yeah, it isn't. I mean, Tallinn's perfectly preserved little Hanseatic old town is fantastic, but it's overrun by tourism. This is the thing. Yeah, this is the thing. There's over-tourism is a word that is used a lot now. Barcelona has experienced over-tourism. But you need tourism because that's a vital section of the economy. I mean, I'm sure Croatia has the same thing. When I first went to Dubrovnik, just after the shelling ended, nobody was there. Now, 2 giant boats with 5,000 of your closest friends show up every day, and you can't even walk through, on the main street there.
You cannot.
No, I mean, Macedonia doesn't have that problem yet, but it's actually kind of a good problem to have, I think.
I think it's a good problem to have. Hopefully we'll have that problem in the near future and create some type of infrastructure to sort of attract these tourists and to also give them good time, because it's not just getting the tourists here, but I think the best recommendation comes from people that have visited a place and then they're saying, this is great, this was amazing. So we need to offer something and to be good hosts. Especially, I think, in the capital, we need to become better hosts, because every capital city is usually a touristic center or one of the few touristic centers in every country. So I think we can do better in that aspect, but hopefully we'll get that problem soon, as we said. Everything we've been talking about is some type of PR, getting tourists to come to your place, telling the story about Barcelona or Tallinn or I don't know, which place did you say you liked most in Macedonia? Kratovo, etc. Everything is connected to public relations. And there is this segment that's very closely related to public relations and to generally pushing your topic out there, that's very controversial in Macedonia, but very widely and well accepted in the US, and that's lobbying. Can we explain lobbying a bit more? What does it mean? How does it function here and in the US? I think here we have, somebody told me we have 1 registered lobbyist, so the other are unregistered.
No, you want them registered.
Yes, we do.
First of all, that's a great question. Thank you. The word lobbying, let's start with that. The word lobbying comes from 1860s, maybe the 1870s. President Ulysses S. Grant, who was the successful Civil War general, became president of the United States, he would often go to the Willard Hotel, which was right next to the White House, and he'd go there into the lobby to have his cigar and his whiskey, just to relax. Well, people started finding out the president goes to the lobby of the Willard Hotel every day at this hour, so they started coming over there to petition him and to ask him for this, that, and the other. So it was literally in the lobby of the hotel, hence lobbying. So that's where the word comes from. That's, you know, and it's one of those things where that may not actually be a true story, but it's become accepted myth. So
Yes.
it works.
I've heard the myth before,
Yeah, right,
so
yeah.
probably
It's probably true.
let's decide that
Yeah,
that's how
it is. Yes, it's one of those too good to fact check. But lobbying is just being persuasive for your cause, your issue, your client. And there are different types of lobbyists in the United States, you know, on domestic issues and foreign issues. You know, every government in the world, just about, I think, has a registered lobbyist or more in Washington, D.C. to promote the interests of the country. But to be a good lobbyist means just to be able to be persuasive, to present the facts of your case, whatever that may be, to the relevant members of Congress, to the White House, to the administration, to the various branches of government, whatever it is you're trying to, you know, succeed in, and being able to persuade them that this is good for them, it's good for the constituency, it's good for everybody. And it's a very old, you know, we're going back to the 1860s, 1870s in America. It's a very old profession. Anybody can be a lobbyist. It just
Yes.
depends on how persuasive you are.
But it also needs to be somehow supported by the rule of law, because
Oh,
if
absolutely.
it's not, then the lobbyists for the people that are maybe not that rich or work for that big companies cannot get their jobs done.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for me, it's interesting that in the US, it's not always the people that are paid by big corporations that are doing the lobbying, but there are also lobby groups coming from different parts of the country that are actually standing out for a problem that the population is facing there. I think the Erin Brockovich case, it's like a good example of how she did both in the legal form, but also in lobbying and then putting that issue out there, and it was fixed.
Right.
Do you
And-
believe that something like that can happen here as well?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, you know, I go back to what we've talked about several times, and that is, you know, Macedonia is relatively young as a modern-day independent nation state, and these things just have to develop over time. Again, 1860s, 1870s, long history, tradition of lobbying. NGOs in America goes back to what Alexis de Tocqueville wrote about in 1830s and Democracy in America. NGOs, long history, you know, almost 200
Yes.
years. This will develop here given time, and it is developing.
I would like to end in, you started with people, but where do you see people in combination with robots and artificial intelligence when it comes to communication? Because it's probably one of the most human things you can do. It's very connected to you know, social studies, to history. You need to understand everything, and it's very, people working in communications, we want to believe that it's very human, that we cannot be changed that easy, and we cannot be substituted that easy. What do you think will happen?
Oh, what do I think will happen? First of all, Robbie here, Robbie, and AI.
He's not an AI.
Yeah, no, he's not doing anything
believes
actually.
he is, but-
Exactly. But AI, it's a tool like anything else.
Yes.
Tools can be used for good or for evil. It's a neutral thing. It depends on how it's used. I can see frightening scenarios coming out of it, and I can see very good scenarios coming out of it, like the issue of, you know, the large language models that go into the medical field and the health field and trying to find cures for cancer and things of that nature.
Yes.
I hope that
Which
I hope
we
that
could have
happens.
never done
Yeah.
before.
But then let's take my own field of public relations. More and more, I see press releases written by artificial intelligence, and
Kind of
it's
boring,
easy.
though.
It's very boring. Yeah, no, there's no human touch in it. So, or things like, I mean, here's an example from yesterday. So I follow my University of Arizona, where I graduated from, the men's basketball team. We're 17-0 right now. We're #1 in the nation. And I'm going through my Facebook feed, and all of a sudden I see this thing that says, you know, Arizona Cats is the name of the group or something like that, and it says, you know, Coach Tommy Lloyd is going through, you know, personal problems and difficulties and blah, blah, blah. none of that's true.
Sure.
And it's got 5,000 likes and things like that. And where did this come from? And it's just it's frightening where
it
this
will be
go.
hard on that side. Like
Right.
for you, for example, it will be hard to go against that because it can generate thousands of those, in a number of minutes.
Right.
Well, you cannot answer thousands of those in a
Right.
number of minutes. So where is the solution? How do we teach and train people to check?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it requires wisdom, discernment, education, and it's got to start with the kids in teaching them what to look for, how to identify, fake news, if we want to call it that, or stuff that's generated by AI. I point to Robbie, not him, but AI.
Sorry, Robbie.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's been very quiet. But we have to teach him, especially.
Yes.
But it's got to come down to wisdom and discernment and understanding and knowing the truth, as opposed to the lie. And you know where that begins? It doesn't begin in school. It begins at the home. It begins
Yes.
with the parents and their children, the baba and the dedo, and others teaching them about right and wrong, basic stuff.
And also being curious and sort of not believing everything you're told, which is very different from the way kids were raised before, where you need to listen to your parents. Do this, okay.
Right.
And you don't ask questions. But now when you have somebody, not just somebody, but when you have a system that can actually give you false information, you need to start to think with your own head and decide on whether this is right or wrong.
Exactly, right. So
It will be fun.
We'll
It is
see.
fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a challenge. It's interesting. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Right.
Thank you for being here. I have a lot more questions to ask, but let's just stop here for now. When you're coming back, we'll meet again.
Great. Thanks for having me. This has been fun.
Sure. Same.